خب قسمت 4 مقاله 23 فدرالیستیم. من دیگه بیشتر انگلیسیشو براتون میخونم. If the circumstances of our country are such as to demand a compound instead of a simple, a confederate instead of a sole government, the essential point which will remain to be adjusted will be to discriminate the objects as far as it can be done, which shall appertain to the different provinces or departments of power, allowing to each the most authority for fulfilling the objects committed to its charge. Shall the Union be constituted the guardian of the common safety? Are fleets and armies and revenues necessary to this purpose? The government of the Union must be empowered to pass all laws and to make all regulations which have relation to them. The same must be the case in respect to commerce and to every other matter to which its jurisdiction is permitted to extend. Is the administration of justice between the citizens of the same state the proper department of local governments? There must possess all the authority which are connected with this object, and with every other that may be allotted to that particular cognizance and direction. Not to confer in each case a degree of power commensurate to that end would be to violate the most obvious rules of prudence and propriety, and improvidently to trust the great interests of the nation to hands which are disabled from managing them with vigor and success. یه کار مهمه که نمیتونی بیاری بدی دست یه کسی که نه جون داره، نه عقل داره، نه راه چاه بلده. میگه ما هم بایستیم بیایم ببینیم که دولت ایالتی از یه سری کارا از دستش برمیاد که خیلی بهتر میتونه از دولت فدرال بکنه برای مردم، و برعکس دولت فدرال یه سری کارهایی رو میتونه بکنه که دولت ایالتی نمیتونه بکنه. مثلا دفاع از مملکت، نیروی دریایی داشتن، مالیات گرفتن از واردات و صادرات. میگه پس باید عاقل باشیم. وقتی میگیم دولت مرکزی شما این قدرت ها رو دارید، اول نبایستین دست و پاشون رو ببندیم که نذاریم اون قدرت ها رو حسابی استفاده بکنن و از حقوقی که بهشون دادیم استفاده بکنن. از اون طرف هم بایستین بدونیم که یه سری حقوق هست که دولت های ایالتی باید به دستشون بیاد. خب ولی نیام به دولت ایالتی بگیم شما مسئول نیرو دریایی باش. این اصلا به عقل جور در نمیاد. خب who so likely to make suitable provisions for the public defense as the body to which the guardianship of the public safety is confided, which as the center of information will best understand the extent and urgency of the dangers that threaten, as the representative of the whole will feel it's most deeply interested in preservation of every part, which, from the responsibility implied in the duty assigned to it, will be most sensibly impressed with the necessity of proper exertions, and which, by the extension of its authority throughout the states, can alone establish uniformity and concert in the plans and measures by which the common safety is to be secured. Is there not a manifest inconsistency in devolving upon the federal government the care of the general defense and leaving in the state governments the effective powers by which it is to be provided for? Is not a want of cooperation the infallible consequence of such a system? And will not weakness, disorder, and undue distribution of the burdens and calamities of war, an unnecessary and intolerable increase of expense be its natural and inevitable concomitants? Have you not had unequivocal experience of its effects in the course of the revolution which we have just achieved? این همه ما تجربه کردیم که دولت‌های ایالتی تو این زمان انقلاب این تجربه به دستمون رسیده که دیگه دولت‌های ایالتی یه کارهایی رو درست میکنن، ولی آیا این گیجبازی نیستش که ما بیایم یه کارهایی رو 2 مرتبه به دولت‌های ایالتی بدیم و اجازه ندیم دولت مرکزی بکنه؟ وقتی دیدیم که دولت ایالتی یا شایستگیشو نداره یا تواناییشو نداره که این کار برسه، همش داره یادآوری میکنه که ما از سال 1776 که انقلاب کردیم تا حالا که 1787 این 11 سال قشنگ دیدیم که دولت‌های ایالتی کجاها کثافت کاری کردن و دیگه باید درس یاد بگیریم دیگه، خودمون رو گول نزنیم. خب اگه دیگه تو این ویدیو من میخونم تا جایی که حافظه داشته باشه و دیگه باقیشو شما دنبال بکنید توی ویدیوهای ضمیمه یا ویدیوهایی که از ترجمه اولم گذاشتم براتون که چند تا واژه هم اونجا معنیش کردم. Every view which we may take of the subject as candid inquires after truth will serve to convince us that it is both unwise and dangerous to deny the federal government an unconfined authority in respect to all those objects which are entrusted to its management. It will indeed deserve the most vigilant and careful attention of the people to see that it be modeled in such a manner as to admit of its being safely vested with the requisite powers. If any plan which has been or may be offered to our consideration should not, upon a dispassionate inspection, be found to answer this description, it ought to be rejected. A government, the constitution of which renders it unfit to be trusted with all the powers which a free people ought to delegate to any government, would be an unsafe and improper depository of the national interest, where these can with propriety be confided, the coincident powers may safely accompany them. This is the result of all just reasoning upon the subject. All the adversaries of the plan promulgated by the convention would have given a better impression of their candor if they had confined themselves to showing that the internal structure of the proposed government was such as to render it unworthy of confidence of the people. They ought not to have wandered into inflammatory declamations and unmeaning cavils about the extent of power. The powers are not too extensive for the objects of federal administration, or in other words, for the management of our national interests. Nor can any satisfactory argument be framed to show that they are chargeable with such an excess. If it be true, as has been insinuated by some of the writers on the other side, that the difficulty arises from the nature of the things, and that the extent of the country will not permit us to form a government in which such ample powers can safely be reposed, it would prove that we ought to contract our views and resort to the experience of separate confederacy, which will move within the more practicable spheres. یعنی ما انقدر اگه ذلیل هستیم که فکر بکنیم به خاطر وسعت این کشور، وسعت زیاد این کشور و از طرف دیگه اون شیرین زبونی اونایی که میخوان این کشور متحد نشه، که بخوایم گولونو بخوریم و ساده لوح باشیم، پس بیا از همین الان چند تا کنفدراسیون درست بکنیم و بریم به کار زندگیمون برسیم و تا آخر عمرم بزنیم سر هم دیگه و جنگ داشته باشیم با هم دیگه. For the absurdity must continually stare us in the face of confiding to a government the direction of the most essential national interests without daring to trust it with authorities which are indispensable to their proper and efficient management. Let us not attempt to reconcile contradictions, but firmly embrace a rational alternative. یعنی بس بیاریم عقلمونو درست کار بندازیم و رو هم دیگه بذاریم، یه سیستم درستی پیاده بکنیم. حالا ما مردم دنیا باید همین کارو بکنیم. با امید پروردگار در چند نسل دیگه یواش یواش یه زبان مشترک که امیدوارم هم این زبانی رو که من پیشنهاد کردم باشه و بشینیم سیستم های فدرالیسم، مخصوصا سیستم فدرالیسم آمریکا رو مطالعه بکنیم و بشینیم 3 4 5 نسل دیگه یه اتحادیه درستابی را بندازیم. با اجازه.